welcome in-game live prime time here on this Thursday. It's the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Dave Sharapan, Taylor Mathis in the house, and loaded is what we've got here. I wish I was, but we do have plenty of NBA action going on. We got plenty of college hoops. We also have a little smattering of the NHL. When you put it all together, should be a very profitable evening. And we've got three, count them, NBA games getting ready to tip off here coming up in just a minute. Celtics, Bulls, Rockets, and the Pelicans, as well as the Clippers and the Thunder. Some people believe that might be a preview into the Western Conference Championship. I have my doubts with that, but we'll start with the Celtics and the Bulls here, Dave. 8.5 with the Celtics, 223.5 as a total. The Celtics, in theory, should have absolutely no problem bulldozing the Bulls. Doesn't mean they will.
Definitely doesn't mean they will. First day back for NBA for me is a real cautious thing. It's kind of watch, wait, listen, play some stuff in game, just sit back, look at the numbers move throughout the day. Find a reason to take the Bulls, you might be able to convince me. I mean, the smart moves NBA projection has Boston not winning but not covering. A very likely scenario, 69% to win. I don't know. Hopefully, we're going to rely on T here to dazzle us with a couple of these plays, NBA plays, pick up the slack. I've been focused on the hockey for a couple days, Taylor. It's been nothing but hockey and college basketball. So how do you approach the NBA today?
Well, of course, most of my plays are props, and they're all towards the later games that we have yet to come. The only thing that I looked at in this Celtics-Bulls game is taking the Celtics to cover in the first half. I like that better than any other play, taking the spread in any other way throughout the entire game.
Number one team in the NBA for most of the season. They've had their issues out on the road, the Celtics. But again, what's even worse is they've had their issues out on the road against sub-500 teams. So it's a tricky spot for the Celtics here tonight, but they are getting ready to tip off in Chicago. We are also going to have a little Zion appearance here tonight as the Pelicans will be hosting the Houston Rockets. And call me crazy here, Taylor, but talk about a team that cannot win on the road, never want to bet them on the road, ever. It's the Houston Rockets here, who at home is one thing, in New Orleans is another thing for me here. 6.5, 227.5. You leaning one way or the other in this one? Oh, I'm guessing that means no. So, go ahead, Dave. I got you then. I'm going to guess one way or the other we got to lean here. I just don't like the Rockets on the road.
I don't like the Rockets on the road either, Joe. And again, my hesitation in laying points today is I don't know what a lot of these guys were doing for a week. You give guys a little bit of time away from the court. You get them back. I was watching some local news from Chicago yesterday and New York and talking to some people in those different cities. And I saw guys in their first, they had practice footage. And it looked like literally they just came back from the summer, some of them, And I was like, oh, boy, this could be trouble here. So it's Pelicans or pass, though. There is nothing that I see in the number. I feel like you got to be getting 9.5, right, for the Rockets to kind of be interested, which you might get after the game tips. So, yeah, Pelicans or pass. I guess the game over. This one's more like flipping a coin for me. I really don't have a strong opinion either way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think New Orleans does an amazing job of underachieving. And I do believe that Brandon Ingram also has an illness. At least that's what they are listing it as. So they might even be down, get a little short there with this New Orleans team in this spot. I do think the game coming up of the night is going to start here in just a second is with the Clippers and the Thunder, because the Clippers, I think, are still getting a point right now, 227.5 as the total, and I could not be more against the market thinking that OKC is somehow – you're pricing OKC like they're the Clippers and the Denver Nuggets, and they're not. Not to mention they have absolutely – it's not even close here. Now, granted, not saying that OKC, Dave, isn't a good team. They've come a long way. They've grown up in a hurry, but they have absolutely no answer. They have nobody that's going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And yet they can throw Kawhi Leonard and Paul George at SGA all day long without an issue. And they also don't have any depth. So the Clippers got more than enough depth, more than enough scoring, more than enough defense to go in there, set the tone, and win this game in all likelihood going away. Love OKC, but to me, they're still 2 years away. This is too much experience, too much depth for the Clippers for me. I think this one's easy money tonight.
And I'm this guy that's sitting in the book listening to you and everybody else come in and bet the Clippers like that. And I'm trying to convince myself that the Thunder is the side. And Clippers won 5 in a row before the break heading into this game. The computer picked the Clippers. You picked the Clippers. Everybody's picking the Clippers. I'm going to sit here and say they catch him this time. It's the third meeting between the team. I saw a lot of the last one back in January. The Clippers won by, I think, 11, 128-117 was the final. There it is. And everything you said is absolutely 100% right. And would it surprise me to see the Clippers go in and win, keep the winning streak alive, get to 6 straight? No, not at all. I think the game goes over. I can't believe it's come down from an initial overnight number, 239. It's down to 235, 235 and a half in places. Joe, this is going to be a scoring game. This is going to finish 240-something. I think this goes over the number, not easily, but there's a couple games on the board tonight that were 245, 246. I saw this one this morning, and I was like, why is this less than 240? And the move came down. So just as we're getting ready to tip, I'll tell you, I think I like over.
What that tells me is that they think the Clippers are going to dictate pace because the Clippers will have no interest in going in a track meet here with OKC. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, it sounds like people think they're just going to slow this thing down to a crawl and are going to make it a half-court game. So it should be the game of the night as far as I'm concerned. That is getting ready to tip off. We do have some games already underway coming to the break. We'll get you caught up with all of them as InGame Live Primetime continues here on the grid.
Not long after Barstool decided to stop their operations as far as taking bets, they've partnered up here with DraftKings to do a lot of their promotions.
It was announced that there would be this non-compete clause for Barstool, meaning that, they couldn't partner with any other sports book. Obviously, DraftKings and other sports books are seen as kind of competitors of Penn.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
InGame Live, Primetime, only on SportsGrid.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where these Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Kev. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management. Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, Gabe, BC's finest.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA until proven otherwise. Like, you have that guy on your team, you win 50 games, it's really that simple.
There is voter fatigue, and I think that is the only thing you have to be careful about when you deal with the NBA is there voter fatigue in regards to who should win the MVP? When you look at the odds, and obviously you get, no Halliburton.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back InGame Live. We are PrimeTime here on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Dave Sharapan. Taylor Mathis here as we are at the break in a couple of games, including Nets-Raptors right now, 59-48 Raptors in front of the Nets. The Pacers and the Pistons also at the break, although that game is over. Pacers 72-43. Knicks also handling the business at the break over the 76ers, 69-46. And the Magic and Cavs turning out to be a pretty good game, 54-50 right now at the break. Magic on the road to Cleveland, and they are handling business. And we've got a second quarter action right now between the Suns and the Mavs, which I thought was also going to be a pretty interesting game. And speaking of interesting, Coach James Young joined good old Coast to Coast today with Scotty Farrell and company. And he's got an interesting take on Kevin Durant, who is certainly not a shortage of headlines that we have been getting from him lately. But here's what Coach James Young thinks of Kevin Durant these days.
I'm going to be honest. I don't listen to anything that deals with Kevin Durant. And here's why. I heard you talk about this with Cam. And I'm going to say this, folks. Any basketball player or any athlete or any person who is great at what they do, if you have to project out to other people to say your greatness, that is one, a sign of inferiority and a sign of insecurity. Kevin Durant, here's the deal, bro. Are you an all-time great scorer? Yes. But let's be honest. You're basically Bernard King, bro. You're basically Carmelo Anthony. You're not a complete player. And don't give me the 2 rings you win after you could have won in OKC and you ran to Golden State to get the rings. And then when people said, it will never be your team, and it's going to be Steph's team, you ran all the way to Brooklyn. You brought Kyrie with you. You had Harden with you. And then when it got tough, you ran to Phoenix. And ready, folks, if they don't win in a year or so, guess what he's going to do? He's going to run again. All-time great player. Will never knock KD, one of the best pure scorers of all time.
Right.
But just play, bro. Play.
That's all he does,
and
score.
Get your team a ring.
I mean, listen, nothing to me says security, Taylor, like 23 different burner accounts. Sounds like he's really centered with himself here. We never got a problem with Kevin Durant, right? I mean, if he doesn't like what you have to say, he just simply opens up one of the burner accounts and lets you know it. So Coach has got he certainly has a point there where I wouldn't consider Durant to be the leader type. I think he makes a great addition because of the talent, but What did you think you were getting in Phoenix with him here? Was it championship or bust, I guess, because that's how talented he is, no?
I think that the Suns fan base and the Suns' new ownership got ahead of themselves when they took over, immediately gunning for Kevin Durant, bringing him out here to the Valley. He's a veteran talent and a veteran within the Phoenix locker room. I got to agree with Coach Young, though. He's not a complete player that's going to give you a championship. And I feel like we're seeing that happen with the Suns. When the big three are not playing, which happens to be right now after the All-Star break, who knows when we get Bradley Beal back at this point. The Suns aren't as good. They're struggling. And games like tonight against the Mavs, a team who is going to make it to the playoffs, hopefully here in the Western Conference as well, these are games that you have to take against those tougher teams when you possibly don't have one of your big three out there on the court.
Feels like it's Booker's team, Dave. I mean, you call me crazy. I know Taylor would agree with it. Like, it's Booker's team. And no matter what Kevin Durant does, it's still going to be, because I got news for you. Who's going to be there longer, Dave? Booker or Kevin Durant, you think?
Booker. Definitely going to be there longer. It's just one of those things. Listen, JY likes to go on these crazy tangents. That's awesome. I love it. All I'm doing is looking at the numbers. You got to win the NBA Finals, you got Celtics in the East, followed by the Nuggets and the Clippers, then the Bucks, because I guess you took enough bets on them before the season, because I don't think they're the second choice in the East, but that's what the numbers keep telling you. And then the next team is the Phoenix Suns. They're right there. They're the fifth choice overall of all the teams. Now, the gap is big. It's a big jump from the Bucks to them. But somebody, whether it's the betting public that bets this stuff or the odds makers or the books, are still going, what if they get hot? KD's done it before. They got the nucleus. Can they get through that West to get to the finals? So numbers tell you they're not ready to bury him yet, although, you're right. He does have all those burners, and sometimes he does it to himself. But I don't know. I'm kind of I got a soft spot for the Suns. I've lived there for 5 years. I want to see him get rolling.
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
He's trending on Twitter right now because he talked to fans pregame before the Mavs game, too, and almost got them kicked out, I guess. So he's trending for something else right now.
Why?
I can't. Yeah. How is that burner account? Can you even pull out a burner phone on the court as you're getting fans thrown out? Kind of hard to hide behind that. But I'll say this here, because I think LeBron and him are similar, because LeBron came to Miami, right? And they ended up winning the championship. They started, it's their fault. They started that whole big three thing. But at the end of the day, it was never LeBron's town. It was always Dwayne Wade's town. It will always be Dwayne Wade's town and team. And guys like Durant and LeBron James, they're basically, but they're guns for hire. That's exactly what they came out to be. Do you think LeBron is going to finish his career despite what he says? I mean, he's probably going to play till he's 108 or until his kid is ready to play in the pros, which he might be 108 by the time Bronny is actually good enough to play in the NBA. I'm just saying, try and start on USC. Let's set the bar a little bit lower there. But it's not going to be his last team, Taylor. There's no way LeBron that's going to be his last team. If he wants a championship, much like Durant, then they are going to go wherever they have to go and do whatever they have to do to try and win one. They're not going to be committed long-term to anybody other than themselves. And I think that's the difference between Booker, Dwayne Wade, LeBron, Kevin Durant, go down. Those guys were committed to the teams and that drafted them, teams that committed to them. I can't see a guy like Durant committing past his nose here unless it's absolutely something in it for him at this point. Judging the way he's getting people tossed out, might be a little sooner rather than later here, though.
Word on the street is out here in Phoenix that he's claiming that he wants to retire with the Suns and he would stay here. But let's be real. In all likelihood, if the Suns do not win a championship this year, I think the cap is pretty much next year for their chances, at least with this team that they tried to build to make a championship run. I doubt Kevin Durant stays in Phoenix if they do not win a championship this year or next season. I wouldn't be surprised if he won it out before the end of next season.
And the worse it gets, the farther away they are from actually, they get bounced out, Dave, sooner than later in the playoffs. That's just a whole offseason of more Durant shenanigans. Kyrie is in that camp. All these guys are like that.
First of all, Phoenix is a great place to retire. Okay, people come from all over to retire to Phoenix. So I don't fault him for saying he wants to retire there. Second of all, where's he going to go? If he don't make it here, like they say in New York, we can make it here, we can make it anywhere. If he can't make it in Phoenix, where's he going to go? Sacramento? Down somewhere?
Golden State.
OKC? Where?
Golden State.
Going back to Golden State with Steph Curry. That's exactly where he'll go. I'm telling you, he's going back to OKC. He's going back to Golden State. One final hurrah for the old Golden Three there. We do have an update in that game, though. We'll get you caught up coming up next year on the grid.
Johnny's a 19-point lead late in the opening half, only to squander that lead. Hall ball under Shaheen Holloway coming all the way back.
All these guards start jacking up shots, and then Soriano doesn't get the ball. Hey, Rick, how about stop throwing your kids under the bus and get your big man the ball, your best player, play inside out like you were doing earlier in the game, and you probably would have won.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
InGame Live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It felt during the year that there was a little bit of disconnect with Wilkes and Kyle Shanahan. The total points allowed by Steve Wilkes' defense the last 3 years before this, head coach for the Cardinals, they gave up the 26th most points, defensive coordinator for the Browns, 20th most points, and then Carolina, they gave up the 19th most points.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Looks like Matt Painter found a team Purdue can actually beat. Welcome in here to the one and only. It is InGame Live, and we are primetime here on a Thursday in the SportsGrid Network. I kid, though. Zach Edey, man among boys over here, as they are up 75-43 over Rutgers. So they are looking to bounce back after another pretty embarrassing loss over the weekend here. We got a couple of great games coming up late tonight in college hoops, too. We'll talk about that coming up top of the hour. But we do have the 9 o'clock Eastern tip here in the NBA. And like these games, too, because I do think there's some value across the board here. And we'll start with the champs as the Nuggets at home hosting the Wizards of Washington here. Now, ironically enough, before the break, I thought the Wizards were playing some pretty good basketball because they pretty much have traded everyone. We know Jordan Poole's going away. Kyle Kuzma's he's going to be traded in the offseason. So they have basically started playing some of the younger guys and the talent, and they're getting a lot of effort here. Now, does that mean they're going to go to Denver and beat the Nuggets? Absolutely not. But we're talking 2 touchdowns here, Taylor, 232 and a half. Call me crazy here. The Nuggets' main goal from this point on is just win as many games you can and stay healthy. And that's it. So what are you going to do in this game here tonight?
I'm going with the prop. And actually, we were talking about all the trades the Wizards will possibly be making. I'm surprised that this guy was not already traded, but I'm going with point guard Tyus Jones over 7.5 assists tonight. This is primarily a pick just based on numbers and trends. Jones has hit this over in 8 out of his last 10, including Washington's last 6 games prior to the All-Star break. Jones hasn't gone under this number while on the road since mid-January. And earlier this season against Denver, Jones racked up 13 assists. Give me the over on his dimes tonight in this game.
Ooh. Dave, are you? You've already mentioned your love for OKC. I'm going to guess that you don't think Denver is in line to come out of the West and try and repeat, which has got to be the single hardest thing to do in all of sports, right? Is to go back to back here.
Yeah. No, I like Denver a lot. I just think that their path will determine whether they're the other team in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, it's a collision course between them and the Clippers. That's a good point. First game back for the NBA, and you got a team laying 16. This is one of those ones you sit and you go, what number can I possibly throw out there to get someone to say, give me the Wizards? 16, I guess, where we're at. And even then, I'm not sure. Right? Like, this might be one of those in-game numbers that we see in an hour after it dips, and we're going, do you want to take 28? Do you want to take 32? It might be blowout central. But at the same time, maybe Wizards first half, everybody off the break. If they're going to be competitive, they're going to be competitive in the first half. So it's the only thing I'm looking at. Good luck with the props. This again. I think the altitude, I like to play, get there, and then, oh, wow, Jokic to get a triple-double. How does he not get a triple-double tonight?
Hey, I have a fun little fact. This is the only team in the NBA that Jokic has never scored a triple-double against or has never recorded a triple-double against. So if he gets it done tonight, this is going to be the first time ever that he has done it against the Wizards. Yes, it's in plus money. It's worth putting some money on.
Interesting. I think I know why. It's usually he's sitting in the fourth quarter because they're up by 45 points, and the game is usually over. I'm just saying that could have a little something to do with what's going on with that stat there.
They only play twice a season, so he probably sits the game in Washington and only plays 3 quarters in the game in Denver. That's how I think. That's the only way you get beat on that tee. That's I think that's the only way you get beat is if he doesn't get it done in the fourth quarter. You know, hopefully he gets this by the end of the third, and you won't have nothing to worry about. That's good. I like that. That's a good one.
Let's push for the half. Let's just hope he gets everything in the first half and he's good to go and just get it done because it's going to get ugly as that game goes on there. Speaking of head scratching, first game out of the break here. Will somebody explain to me how in the hell the Utah Jazz should be nearly a double-digit favorite over anybody? If you guys noticed, Utah before the break, 2-7 straight up and against the number. In their last 9 games, they basically traded away all the quality pieces that actually kind of helped them score and be, being pretty decent. So they got rid of them, and now all of a sudden they can't win. They can't win. They can't cover. And now I'm supposed to buy that this is another one of these spots where Utah is somehow going to be double-digit better than the Charlotte Hornets, who are playing again a whole lot of young guys that are auditioning, trying to make a name for themselves. I don't buy it here, Taylor, but how are you looking at this game here with the Hornets coming up against the Jazz?
This is such an ugly game because the Jazz and the Hornets, they're just bottom feeder teams within the NBA. So I'm looking at a prop again. Hornets power forward Grant Williams under 12.5 points tonight. Williams is averaging under 10 points a game, and in January against Utah, he only had 4 points. This game, like I said, between two terrible teams, I thought I would make it a little bit more fun with the prop fading Williams under 12.5 points.
And he is exactly what I'm talking about, Dave. Grant Williams, Seth Curry, Trey Mann. You know what they are? They're 3 very experienced NBA players playing with Brandon Miller, a young guy, and they all kind of get shipped out there to die. And Charlotte, you know what they're doing? They're playing better basketball since that trade happened here. So I call me nuts here. I think Utah should not be laying nearly double digits against anybody, especially now a nice mix of young guys with the vets and Grant Williams, Seth Curry, and Trey Mann.
It's one of those situations that you're going to see now going forward. We got to the All-Star break.
Yes.
It's about the 2/3 mark. I mean, there's 26, 27 games left for different teams. You're going to pay extra when you're betting on a team against the really bad teams, the teams that have all the losses in the first half. Nobody bets them, and everybody bets against them. So when the line should be 6, 6.5, you're going to see 8.5, 9. When the line should be 7, 7.5, 8, you're going to see 10, 10.5, 11. And this is a perfect example of that. I smiled when you said it. I saw the game this morning. I said, geez, I don't know if I wouldn't definitely not. It's dog or nothing here, but I understand the hesitation. You don't want to do the Hornets. Find a prop like Taylor did and move on. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's that's coming up 9 o'clock. And, of course, the Lakers are in action tonight against Golden State, who, started playing some decent basketball once they got Draymond back. Go figure. Draymond actually means more to them offensively than defense. Very strange. But no LeBron tonight here. But the Lakers were red hot heading into I don't think the All-Star break did the Lakers any favors, because they were actually playing some pretty good basketball, and yet here they are now. Got to take on the Warriors. What gives in this one here tonight, Taylor? How you looking at it?
Well, of course, here I go with another prop for you guys. I love that you're saying that, though. Both these teams so hot heading into the All-Star break. Now they've got to cool off. We're going to see who can shake off the rust a little bit better. I'm going to go with Steph Curry over 5.5 assists tonight. This number is just way too low for me right now. This season, Curry's doing just so much more than lighting up the scoreboard like we're used to. There's been a huge uptick in his assists. Klay Thompson shooting the ball a little bit better, and he's beginning to improve before the All-Star break. That's really giving Curry more opportunities to dish the ball out to him. Against the Lakers, Curry had 7 this season. And veteran teams like the Warriors, they know how to consistently play through the back half of this season heading into the playoffs. Golden State's heating up at the right time, and stars like Curry, they just step up in those right spots where their team needs it. Curry over 5.5 assists against the Lakers.
Numbers aren't good, Dave, with the Lakers without LeBron. Sorry, on the court. It's tough, man. It's tough on the road. This is a tough spot here. Unless you think the number is so inflated that the value is actually backing the Lakers now.
Yeah, not for me. This should have been the number that opened. You know, we knew Sunday that he wasn't probably going to play, and it sat, and they opened the number 3.5, 4, and immediately moved. People put props up on LeBron yesterday in books. Like, nobody's getting the memo. We knew he wasn't playing. If you'd have told me before the season that they would have been in 9th and 10th in the Western Conference in the game after the All-Star break, I wouldn't have believed you. But that's the case tonight. Every game that these two teams play is to try to get in the top 6 and try to not have to play in the play-in. I think they're both going to play in the play-in. This might be the preview of the play-in game, the elimination game.
Good point.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's Golden State or nothing. I don't want any parts of this game pregame. Got to see it's Golden State. That they're going to win the game. I just don't know if they're going to cover the spread.
Klay Thompson now coming off the bench. Who'd have thunk it? But hey, if it ain't, whatever works, because you sucked. We'll start the season, so whatever you got to do, wherever you got to go. Hey, it's worked for Russell Westbrook and the Clippers, so coming off the bench. We'll see if it works here for Golden State. We'll have an update across the scoreboard when In-Game Live Primetime continues.
Johnny's a 19-point lead late in the opening half, only to squander that lead. Hall ball under Shaheen Holloway coming all the way back.
All these guards start jacking up shots, and then Soriano doesn't get the ball. Hey, Rick, how about stop throwing your kids under the bus and get your big man the ball, your best player, play inside out like you were doing earlier in the game, and you probably would have won.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
In-Game Live, Primetime, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York G has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It felt during the year that there was a little bit of disconnect with Wilkes and Kyle Shanahan. The total points allowed by Steve Wilkes' defense the last 3 years before this, head coach for the Cardinals, they gave up the 26th most points, defensive coordinator for the Browns, 20th most points, and then Carolina, they gave up the 19th most points.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
right, welcome back in-game live prime time here on this Thursday. It's the Sports Grid Network. We do have one more NBA game getting ready to start here within the hour we wanted to touch base on, and it involves the Sacramento Kings. And they'll be taking on Wemby and company there with the Spurs. Interesting game from certainly a prop perspective here, Taylor. It's certainly going to light the beam there with the Kings. They should have no problem, obviously, putting up points here. But I know guys that are making a whole lot of money just backing Wembanyama, either making threes or blocking shots. And it's like, there's more to life than just Wembanyama props, isn't there, though? Who are you looking at in this one?
Way more to life than Wemby props. Come with Malik Monk, over 18.5 total points. He went in after going into the All-Star break. He was red hot. He scored 20 or more points in 6 out of his last 8 games. I'm thinking tonight, coming out of this All-Star break, he is going to be just as hot as he was before. His shooting is sitting at 52.1% from the field, and he's also seen a volume going up in his attempts, making at least 11 shot attempts per game. Prior to that, he had gone 6 games without double-digit shot attempts. Sabonis is going to be rolled out tonight with illness. I think that's going to give Monk a lot more usage and a lot more increase in that area. So I'm hoping he puts up, I could see at least 20 points tonight, playing this up to over 20.5 as well.
Oh, Dave, I mean, you were shaking your head, though, because you and I probably know the same dudes back in Wembanyama, over 1.5 threes, over 3.5 blocks. It's like he's a machine. Yeah, rebounds, too. He's another one's been an absolute machine, man. The kid is no joke.
The rebounds number isn't being moved. Matt and I discussed that on BVB. It's automated feed. They put the number in close to the average. Not really a lot of bets come in on stuff like that sometimes. But the more we talk about it, the more people will start to follow it, and maybe they'll adjust the number up. But the Wemby props have been great for bettors. Now, again, rookie, a week off. We'll see what happens tonight. This is a young team going to Sacramento. Yeah. It's a tax. This line should be 8, maybe 7.5, 8. It's 10.5. It's flying right now. It's moving up. I'm looking at the odds screen right now. People are laying it. Got to back the dog again. I sound like I'm on repeat, rinse and repeat. Take the dog, take the dog, take the dog. Well, that's because tonight with everybody coming in full force, I was on Game Time Decisions with Kevin. He said, I got a bet on every game today. I missed the NBA. It's been gone for almost a week, essentially, with the All-Star game. Some people got involved and some didn't. Speaking of which, T, did you watch it? Did you watch the All-Star game? Did you like the All-Star game? I don't even know what it is anymore. I'm going to
be honest. I didn't barely watch any of the NBA All-Star festivities at all. I don't think it's really the same thing like it used to be. I feel like the NBA All-Star game used to be the time for players to really show off, and it was a spectacle for NBA and basketball fans to watch. Now I feel like a lot of these guys don't even want to play in all of the All-Star festivities. They'd rather use the time for a vacation with their families or to take some off time. Doesn't really seem like it has the same sparkle as it once did.
No, it's there's a spark there, and it should be a can of gasoline and us lighting that game on fire, because it is absolutely atrocious, and it should never be played again. Just move on. Give the guys a 2-week vacation in Aruba, or put together a beer league softball team. Whatever it is, don't play basketball, because that's nothing even resembling basketball in any way, shape, or form. It's an embarrassment there. We do have an update here on a couple of games before we talk a little pitchers, catchers, position players, Major League Baseball, spring training underway. We did have a football game today. At least that's what one team treated it like. We do have a couple of updates here, including the Magic and the Cavs right now with about, just about a minute left to go until the end of the third quarter. It's 77-73. The Orlando Magic playing some good basketball right now. We did make it to the break, by the way. Kevin Durant and his burner counts right now up 3 at the break over Doncic and his burner accounts, 63-60 at the half. We'll get you an updated in-game number on that here shortly, because that's going to be an interesting one in the second half. We did see the Celtics came out firing early on here, dropped 31 in the first over the Bulls there. It's 43-37, so a little bit closer than maybe they had hoped. And the Pelicans on top of the Rockets, 43-38. And our game that we're going to be keeping an eye on here, the Thunder and the Clippers, and I still think it's going to be the game of the night. It's 44-42. Thunder up to 7 minutes to go in the half, and we'll get you an updated in-game number on that as well. But, Taylor, it is that time of year, right? Pitchers, catchers, it's Shohei Ohtani this, Shohei Ohtani. Oh, great. That's wonderful.
This,
fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, and I think they played Dodgers played today. They had some sort of something that I saw 14 runs, and I'm like, all right. Just let me know when we're going to get, stop it. Like, I don't even want to hear it. But it's an interesting futures market here, because there is it feels like the American League wide open in many aspects, but it really just feels like the National League. If you're betting anything other than Dodger futures, like what? You're basically fading the dream team is what you're doing if you're betting anything else other than the Dodgers in the National League. But that's not going to stop you from taking your Arizona Diamondbacks, is it?
It's not. I am fading the Dodgers in this spot. I'm not backing them. There's no value there in taking them at this point. And it just has me scratching my head a little bit that we've got the Arizona Diamondbacks who just made it to the World Series. And by the way, to get there, they had to beat the Brewers, the Dodgers, as well as the Phillies to get to that World Series against the Rangers. And they're still 40-1 to win the World Series this year. They've gone out during their offseason and really amped up their roster. And already, you just saw in this postseason, the relief pitchers really stepped up. They became solid within that bullpen. A lot of young hitters stepped up to the plate. They had the juice last year, and now they've got a little bit more experience under their belt. I've got to put some money on the Snakes to win the World Series this year in 2024.
Who won the World Series last year, Dave? It's just,
Texas.
That's how. Who?
The Rangers.
Do they still have a team? Are they still in the league? Who the hell is betting the Rangers to go back to back? Like, come on.
Nobody.
Thank you.
Look at the numbers. They're not. Nobody's betting them. It's true. The American League pennant, the World Series odds, they're far down. They're in it. It's the brand names first. Listen, I saw that 14-1 score today, and actually one of my buddies who's still in the room somewhere said, "Should we just move the Dodgers to even money to win the National League at this point?"
Right?
Because everybody's betting them. It doesn't matter. They're going to play 162. They played one game in Peoria, 8 runs in the first inning, and he was joking like, this is going to be one of those seasons where you go to work every day when you work in a book, or you're working wherever. You need against the Dodgers every single day. There may be less than 10 days of the 162 where you go, wow, we need the Dodgers today. I would bet under 10. So that's one thing. The Diamondbacks live, all you need to do, they proved it last year. Get in the playoffs. The format is wide open. Let's pick the playoff teams. That's all. Pick the NL Central winner. Maybe they got a shot. It's Braves and Phillies in the NL East. Does another team in the NL West, if it's not the Diamondbacks, does any one of them make the playoffs with the wild card? Can the Giants actually do it? Can the Padres actually do it? The Rockies absolutely cannot do it. Not with that roster constructed the way it is. Neither one of those teams. Can either one of those teams, Taylor, do you think make the playoffs?
I don't think so. I actually think in the National League, the Central is going to be the closest and probably the diciest to look at, just because you've got that young team in the Reds who were already so much better than people expected last season. I'm hoping that would mean they're going to improve even more heading into this year. You've got the Cubs, who tried to make some offseason moves as well. You had the St. Louis Cardinals, who last year were supposed to win the Central and almost ended up in dead last. And then you've got the Brewers, who were the favorite last year, won the title. They've, in my eyes, really progressed backwards a little bit heading into the 2024 season. So I think that division's pretty wide open. I forgot the Pirates in there. They're towards the bottom.
Well,
how could you forget the Pirates, Taylor? That's not even
very
nice.
Very forgettable. Very forgettable. So, yes, don't feel bad.
You forgot the Pirates.
No.
Joe, don't egg her on, Joe, please. This is
beautiful
not nice.
park. Beautiful
Season wins
ballpark.
is 74.5.
Yes, but I think the three of us have a better chance of winning more games. No. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. But I do have a question here. Because there are still a couple of pretty big name guys that are unsigned right now, including Blake Snell. And then you've got Montgomery, who was, and as a Yankee fan, let me just say it, he was a Yankee. Just bring him back. Like, give him his locker, give him the damn jersey back. Like, I don't know what. Chapman is still out there, which is a pretty big bat there at third base. Like, there are, what do they all have in common? Oh, that's right. Scott Boras is your agent. So now he's completely priced you out of the damn market. And call me crazy here, Dave. Blake Snell can help a team. That is the front end starter that could help a team like, I don't know, let's say you go Yankees and you got Cole, you got Snell, you go down to like, really? Why are we not just giving the guy whatever he wants and getting him on the roster here? It's already spring training. Like, what are we waiting for?
There's not many guys that would actually move the market, whether it's division, pennant, or World Series. But if Blake Snell gets signed on a couple teams, I don't really think the Yankees need him, Joe. Like, so don't just advance him to the Yankees. You're that typical Yankee fan. You just want to put everybody on the Yankees. That's fine.
No.
Right?
I don't want him because of the Yankees. I want him so he doesn't go to anybody else. That's why I want them to sign him.
An hour ago, according to Twitter, he's very close to inking a deal with the Yankees. This is pretty recent right now. They're saying it's
all you got to do is ask.
We'll see if it does.
See? That's it. Thoughts are things, Dave. Thoughts are things, my friend. Throw it out there. Let it bring it back in. All right? Let me get you that secret.
I'd like to see him on the Cubs. Get you that secret. Go to the Cubs. Pitch in Wrigley. That would make the Cubs the favorite.
Sounds fun to me.
Instantaneously.
Well, see, here's the other problem. You've got some teams that are all actively telling us we're not spending any more money. Seattle, no. Arizona, there's a few teams that we're going to have to take a closer look at here as InGame Live Primetime continues.
Johnny's a 19-point lead late in the opening half, only to squander that lead. Hall ball under Shaheen Holloway coming all the way back.
All these guards start jacking up shots, and then Soriano doesn't get the ball. Hey, Rick, how about stop throwing your kids under the bus and get your big man the ball, your best player, play inside out like you were doing earlier in the game, and you probably would have won.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
InGame Live, Primetime, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It felt during the year that there was a little bit of disconnect with Wilks and Kyle Shanahan. The total points allowed by Steve Wilks' defense the last 3 years before this, head coach for the Cardinals, they gave up the 26th most points, defensive coordinator for the Browns, 20th most points, and then Carolina, they gave up the 19th most points.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in as we look to close out this first hour of in-game live primetime on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri, Dave Sharapan. We'll say goodbye to Taylor Mathis, but not before she lays out another bet here for us tonight. Lot of action going on here. The Mavericks, by the way, overtook your Phoenix team rather quickly, a 9-0 run to start the third. 69-63 there. What are you going to do, though? Where's the bet of the night? Where are we looking?
I'm actually going to go to that game right now and go with a live look because it was one of my favorite pregame bets. And I'm imagining the odds are even better right now on it live. Ooh. Devin Booker, over 5.5 assists. He's got 3 right now here at the start of the third quarter. If he stays on pace with the way he was in the first quarter, he should just hit that over against the Mavericks tonight.
Ooh, kind of like the way you're looking here. 16-3-3 right now for him, but they are why this game is on, and it looks like they got that deer in the headlights look going on, Dave, right now. They're like, what the hell just happened? Weren't we winning this game? And Doncic and Kyrie, don't let it go, unsaid on how good Dallas was prior to the break now that everyone's healthy. Derek Lively's back, Kyrie, we talk about Beal being a key part. If Kyrie's not healthy, where is Dallas going here eventually? Nowhere.
No, absolutely not.
Nope.
Before we let Taylor go, I got to ask you a question. You don't have to give an answer now, but think about it for the next time you're on. How many spring training games are you going to go to in Arizona? My initial number was like 10.5. And I thought, because I know you're close and you got a lot of stadiums around you. Think about it. You go over or under 10.5.
I'll lean over. I am going to my first one tomorrow, Cubs opener against the White Sox. So I'm very excited. It should be fun.
Of all of the games to go, of course she's going to the Cubs game. All right, Taylor, good luck here tonight. We're back another hour in-game live primetime here on the grid.
smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. Off and running another hour of in-game live prime time here on the Sports Grid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Dave Sharapan, as we've got plenty to get you caught up with here. NBA full slate back finally after a little extended vacay there, all-star break. They're back in action. Couple of games getting ready to tip off here. We got a slate of games happening right now on the ice in the NHL. We'll talk about that. And, of course, we are just about 3 weeks away from conference tournaments, which means the college basketball madness is almost upon us here, Dave. And we do have a couple of games getting ready to tip off out west in your neck of the woods. Washington taking on Arizona State is certainly one we're going to be keeping an eye on. We've got a little late-night degenerate special with Arizona-Washington State, as well as Oregon taking on Stanford here. So which one of these are you most excited about for the West Coast swing here?
Let's just take in a moment and really breathe and take in the finale of the Pac-12. There's no more Pac-12 after this show. Like Thursday nights is Pac-12 basketball. And it's fun to look at the graphics. And we got a couple games that we're not going to see anymore. Like the Stanford matchup. I don't know. The game I think we need to watch and learn and kind of look at is Washington State and Arizona. That number is gigantic. And the Cougars have been good. They've 9-1 in their last 10. They're catching 12.5. But Arizona's 13-0 at home, blowing teams out at home.
Yeah.
Good game. I think it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a competitive game. I think this will be opportunity to, take Arizona while it's close at a lesser number. I think if you like Arizona, you can wait. I think if you like Washington State, 12.5 is a good starting point. I think you'll be able to, live with that and go back and forth. So, yeah, man, I don't know, Joe. I'm bummed out. They're changing everything about college sports. Okay.
No, they are.
It's just I'm trying to enjoy all of this as much as I can this year, because what they're doing to the college football playoff, they just said yesterday there's 12 teams. Today, they're talking about making it 14. It's been a day old, and nobody's taking the field. They're already trying to expand it. They're going to mess with this college tournament, Joe. They're going to mess with March Madness. You know that, right?
What choice are they going to have? This is all self-inflicted, though. Very difficult to feel sorry for anybody involved here, because they created this absolute nightmare themselves, and now they're going to have to deal with it like everybody else. I don't think football is going to be the same. I certainly don't think the March Madness moving forward is going to be the same, although they really can't add any more. It is the 64 best, right? And except for the 4 play-in that you're going to have there. It's going to be really odd watching Stanford play out east and vice versa. It's going to be very, very strange watching them be part of the ACC and not playing a game like like you said here tonight, to be able to go Oregon versus Stanford, Cal versus Stanford. I mean, all of these classic Pac-12 matchups now that are just going to go by the wayside. But the good news is, at least we do have a couple of final hurrah games here, and that's why Thursday nights are so much fun, because it gives you the late night games there on this West Coast. And I do think it's 12.5, 13. It's a big number with Arizona, I think, for a reason. Because Arizona, don't forget, Arizona's got a little payback on their mind because they already lost the first meeting to Washington State earlier in the year.
On the road.
But they don't lose at home. Yeah, they don't lose at home, Arizona. And I think they're finally starting to hit their groove. Do you realize how big this team is? Like, when you go down, like, their starting guards are 6'8", 6'9". Like, how are you supposed to compete with the size, the length, and the athleticism of Arizona? They just spend all this time shooting themselves in the foot, Dave. Otherwise, they're the ones that you should be betting to win a national championship.
100%. I don't think they're going to get taxed, winning the Pac-12 tournament. I saw them here in person. Exactly what you said. I said, do you see how big
they're
this
huge.
team is? This is an NBA team. They were walking by on the court on the warm-ups, and I was like, okay, and they can run. They can score. They're deep. They have the makings of a team that's going to get to Glendale, Arizona, not far from Tucson, where the Final Four is. I think those bets are definitely possible. They just housed Arizona State, who's hosting Washington today. There's not too many teams that Washington should be favored on the road against, but they're laying – the game's just tipped off. They're laying 2.5 at close. Total's 153.5. Arizona State got crushed. I think they lost by like 38 or 40 points or something like that to Arizona. This is one of those spots where you sit in a book and you watch people remember what they saw last, come in, lay points on the road with Washington, and Arizona State wins. So got that, on the app here, opened up to maybe take a shot or two on a home dog. If Arizona State's going to win one more game this season, it's probably it. Tonight they're live. So that's where we're at with that.
Yep. They better get it done here. We do have, of course, the number 3 team, I think, now with Purdue exacted a little revenge there and destroyed Rutgers 96-68. But there is actually, Dave, and you know this, the single most profitable college basketball team this season, bar none. It's not even remotely close, folks. We're talking of 24 games they have played. They have covered the number in 21 of them. And that team is the Minnesota Gophers. Minnesota tonight up already. By the way, it was only 3, right? I think 21-3 against the number this year. They are covering machines, and they were only laying 3 tonight at home against Ohio State. And I believe they're up almost a dozen here by as they're getting ready to play the second half.
Yeah.
They're up 8. There you go.
42-34, up 8 at halftime.
Man.
One of those suspicious numbers when you see it in the morning and you go, okay, somebody either is underestimating Minnesota or overestimating Ohio State, who just beat Purdue, right? Fired the coach, covered their last 3. Makes perfect sense that, people will play them, but like Minnesota.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, people. More in-game live primetime next here on the Grid.
Johnny's a 19-point lead late in the opening half, only to squander that lead. Hall ball under Shaheen Holloway coming all the way back.
All these guards start jacking up shots, and then Soriano doesn't get the ball. Hey, Rick, how about stop throwing your kids under the bus and get your big man the ball, your best player, play inside out like you were doing earlier in the game, and you probably would have won.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It felt during the year that there was a little bit of disconnect with Wilkes and Kyle Shanahan. The total points allowed by Steve Wilkes' defense the last 3 years before this, head coach for the Cardinals, they gave up the 26th most points, defensive coordinator for the Browns, 20th most points, and then Carolina, they gave up the 19th most points.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in InGame Live. We are PrimeTime here on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Dave Sharapan. We are at the break right now in a game that it's getting good. If you guys have not had a chance to check it out, it should be one hell of a finish in OKC as the Thunder are up by 2, 61-59 over the Clippers. That should be a heck of a finish there as the Hornets, Jazz, Wizards, Nuggets just underway. And then, of course, coming up top of this hour, we'll have Lakers, Warriors, Spurs, and Kings. We also have a slate of NHL action going on here tonight, Dave. As a matter of fact, I glanced over. It was 3-1 Caps over the Lightning just a couple of minutes ago. I turned back over. Now it's 3-3. So I'm like, okay, we got this is going to be interesting night here in some of these games. And now 4-3, they just scored again here. So what do we do here with these late games, though? You got the Leafs and Knights in your neck of the woods, Canucks, Kraken, and of course Predators and Kings. But Golden Knights holding serve here against the Leafs tonight.
I watched the Leafs last night against the Coyotes. And we talked about it last night. The boys, Jack and Matty G, kind of put it up, and we talked about Austin Matthews scoring a goal. He was minus 125 to score 1. He was plus 460 to score 2, and he got 2.
Jeez.
They won 6-3. Usually the back end of the desert back-to-back, whether it's Vegas to Phoenix or Phoenix to Vegas, you play against it. But something's amiss with the Knights right now. It's that the Stone is hurt at the first line, so the rest of the lines the combinations aren't right. The fourth line is a complete mess. They're trailing every game they play. They have to come back late. I like Toronto tonight again in a back-to-back situation. You get them at a kind of a cheap price. The odds makers are having a really difficult time pricing the Knights. Last game they played, they were home against the Predators, and they were minus 135. I think it closed 130 or even 125, and the Predators won 5-3. Expect a similar type game tonight. I think it goes over. I think the Maple Leafs score. Even on a back-to-back, I'm good with it. But I got to ask you, I mean, you're Mr. Florida. You know, everybody knows you're down in Miami. Best team in hockey in the East right now, despite Jack's arguments and other Ranger fans, is the Florida Panthers. I'm glued to my app waiting for a goal to be scored, Joe. It's 0-0 with, let me hit refresh, 7 minutes to go in the third. This might be the Eastern Conference final preview. This is a hell of a hockey game. Tight, playoff type game, first meeting between these teams, and no score. Liked the under before the game, but didn't think it would be 0-0. I told Peralta, I said, I like Florida. He can't stand Florida. He's still mad about them beating the Bruins last year as the 8th seed. And now, any opinion about that game? I mean, would you? I don't even know what to bet right now. It's 0-0. It's I don't have to bet the total. There's no total bet to bet. You got a side, anything,
kind of a lot,
right?
What that series was last year too. I mean, that's kind of what the Panthers and the Hurricanes they're both built very similar, and they're also built to play games just like this. Both have the firepower to be able to get it done, but they are also extremely physical teams. So that's the only thing I'd worry about with the Panthers is that was a lot of hockey they had to play last year, and the brand of hockey that they play isn't exactly finesse in any way, shape, or form. So, you know, when Kachuk is on, you got to try to sit him because he's got like a fractured sternum and this and that. He's still trying to get out on the ice. That's the kind of team that they are here. But I think both of these teams, too, realize still a lot of hockey left to go here. You're not going to, been there, done that. Let's not ruin ourselves here before the playoffs. And I think a lot of guys like that, a lot of teams that will just be happy to get there. They don't need the 1 seed. I mean, who the hell wants the 1 seed anymore, Dave? Every time you get the 1 seed, you get bounced. So, I'd much rather be like, I just want to be in the playoffs. Don't need the President's Cup trophy. I don't need any of that. Just let me get in, and I am good to go. And that's got to be in the back of the Bruins' mind as well.
Oh, I would argue that the 2 seed is better because you get the other wild card team. You have home ice against everybody but the 1 seed. And if the 1 seed loses, which they continue to do, you now have home ice throughout all the way to the conference finals, if not the finals. So the 2 spot is okay.
I agree.
Out west, all right, we got, not just the Knights hosting the Maple Leafs. You got the Kings hosting the Predators. The Predators went from here out to L.A. They played a really good hockey game, a really good road hockey game that turned into a bit of a sprint at the end, and they got an empty netter and won 5-3. The Kings had a nice, successful trip, came home, and put the clamps on Columbus. They beat them up physically, watched a lot of that game. Looked at this number and went, okay, this is a dead under. It's 5.5. I'm good with it. Go under. I think we get one of those bets where, no goal in the first 10 minutes maybe. First period under and game under. Can't decide on a side, Joe. Cannot decide on a side. You?
No, it's I would lean Kings, but I tend to agree with you. I think less goals in this one. I do think goals are coming in the Kraken Vancouver game, though.
Yes.
I wouldn't be opposed to seeing these two teams light it up here and often here. I think the number was 6 early today, and I don't see any reason not to think that we're going to get more than 6 goals in this game here, Dave. Is that where you're leaning?
Yeah, I like over. Got to get the goalie confirmations. This time of year it gets more and more important as the games get less and less and less. Kraken, they had such a good season last year, and there have been a lot of question marks this year. Vancouver is one of those teams that our friend DePrez told me on Tuesday, guys like him that look at this stuff and put out picks and all this other stuff, looking to go against. I think Vancouver against experienced teams go against. Vancouver against equal or less younger teams, less veterans on a team, I think they're going to keep going. I actually think so. It depends. And I would put the Kraken in that playing below expectations.
Right.
Can't believe you can't make this too high, like as far as the money line on the Vancouver Canucks. Road favorites get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper as we get closer to the trade deadline, second week of March, and then the end of the season. So cautiously, trepidatiously, Vancouver pregame. Over.
Over for sure. Yeah, I think it's a coin flip, but definitely over. And we do have a power play finally, I think, here with the Avalanche and Red Wings. It's 1-1 right now with about 5 minutes to go, and it looks like the Avs are going to have the advantage here right around the 5-minute mark left. Could you imagine? You got to like the Avs' chances here. And by the way, what in the hell happened to the Islanders? Are the Islanders going to get blanked by the Blues? Because it's 3-0 right now with about 8.5 to go. Feels like shutout city here, does it not?
Yeah. Islanders struggled, and they lost a heartbreaker to the Rangers. It's going to be one of those ones that got to carry over that stadium series.
Yeah.
So,
and Rangers 4-0 over the Devils. Rangers good, Islanders bad. Not good here, guys. We'll return it with this.
Johnny's a 19-point lead late in the opening half, only to squander that lead. Hall ball under Shaheen Holloway coming all the way back.
All these guards start jacking up shots, and then Soriano doesn't get the ball. Hey, Rick, how about stop throwing your kids under the bus and get your big man the ball, your best player, play inside out like you were doing earlier in the game, and you probably would have won.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
InGame Live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It felt during the year that there was a little bit of disconnect with Wilkes and Kyle Shanahan. The total points allowed by Steve Wilkes' defense the last 3 years before this, head coach for the Cardinals, they gave up the 26th most points, defensive coordinator for the Browns, 20th most points, and then Carolina, they gave up the 19th most points.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Well, all you got to do is ask, and maybe they will. Maybe they'll get it done for you here. And the Florida Panthers, and it looks like they pulled the goal down. How do you like that? Welcome back in Game Live. Yes, we are primetime here on the Sports Grid Network, and got some good ones out on the ice here, where they keep reviewing goals and keep pulling them off. We had a goal earlier there with Tampa and Washington. It was supposed to be 4-3. They pulled it. It's now 3-3. And we did have a goal here, but it looks like it was pulled away there. Dave, it looks like we're back to a 0-0 scoreless game, Carolina and the Panthers, with 3 minutes to go. Yikes, it's getting good. And we're still 1-1. What about 2 minutes ago, the Avs and the Red Wings killed that power play, and we might have a little extra hockey in a few places here tonight as well.
It's funny how these things go in cycles, right? Like yesterday, the late session was all overs. It was overs, goals, 7-4.
Yep.
Columbus and Anaheim, 6-3 in the Maple Leafs over the Coyotes, and then tonight, so far, the really good games are knockdown, drag-out, playoff game type games. 1-1, like you said, with Avalanche and Red Wings. 0-0, although it hasn't changed yet on my score bug. So Bruins and Flames is 0-0.
I know.
With 8 minutes left in the first period. A lot of unders, Joe.
So
every
weird.
game actually is under right now, except the Capitals and the Light. Every game is on pace to finish under, which usually means good things for the books. So, but look, we're getting ready for playoffs. I think this is the one. They're all different. Baseball playoffs, the every pitch means something. Everything is different. Basketball playoffs, the possessions get tighter. They take the shot clock deeper. Maybe not shoot as much. Okay, but the NHL jump from regular season to playoffs is so magnified in every shift. Every puck bounce, every penalty means so much, and we're headed for that. It's my favorite time of year. I absolutely love the NHL playoffs. It's 1 versus 1A for the baseball playoffs. But Joe, did you take a peek back
Takes
at the
forever,
NBA?
though, doesn't it? Though
it does.
Doesn't it take forever, though?
It's part of the ride. Come on.
When does it start though? Like it starts end of
second week of April.
Second week of April.
Usually for
June?
NHL, second week of April, and it goes all the way to June. So it's 2 months, Odyssey. And the NBA does the same thing.
And the NBA is right behind it, right? It's right,
2 weeks
literally
behind.
right behind it.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah. And those days are all set. They play less games in a longer amount of time in the NBA playoffs. You play a 7-game series. It takes 2.5 weeks. Play one game,
That's
sit
correct.
2 days. One game, sit 2 days. Travel and do it again. So we'll get the rhythmic pentameter of the playoff schedule. But I'm looking.
2 months
I'm
of
looking
playoffs.
at the NBA.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
2 months of
we'll get
playoffs.
there.
It's nuts.
The Mavericks are up 96-91, end of the third quarter against the Suns. There we go. Let me click refresh. Oh, it just went final. The Knicks beat the Sixers. Oh,
that's not really. Yeah.
Not surprising, but they were dogs.
No. Yep.
Joe,
the Magic handled it too, by the way. The Magic handled their business. The hottest team in the NBA just got smoked at home by the Orlando Magic there, 116-109 in that one. But that was you said an over game with the 76ers? 110-96?
110-96, that's a final, yeah. So
wow. Okay. And that went crazily under
play.
here.
I know you're a Yankee fan.
They are.
Okay. Are we ready to say, that the Knicks are the second best team in the East? Are you ready to say that yet?
No, stop.
It's Milwaukee? It's that
come
easy?
on, even the Knicks know that. You know that. It doesn't matter. It's Boston, period. That's it. End of discussion. Everyone else just go away.
You got to tell me who the second best team is, because those exacta prices, all we need to do is get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and we get these gigantic prices. I was going through them last night. The prices on the Knicks are 100-1. Like the Knicks over the Nuggets is the lowest. I think it's 80-1. And then after that, every one is triple digits. So if they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, I'll just bet the Celtics and, hope it loses. But if it wins, make money. But if it loses, we're setting a shot. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for the Knicks to be in the NBA Finals. With everybody that we work with here at the Grid, the people that, the fans of the shows and people that watch it, the Knicks being good will be a lot of people's worst nightmare. That's almost like the Jets being good. Can you imagine?
I agree.
But look at that.
But
they're the sixth choice, Joe. Is that price justified right there?
In this NBA, can they win in this NBA, by scoring 100 points in a game? And I don't think they're built for longevity there. I just don't. And the problem you remember that Cleveland series last year with the Knicks, how absolutely disgusting it was? Like 86-74. What? How is this again? Like, that is not going to work. That's not going to win you games when you got to go up against the Celtics or, teams that, hey, listen, they're not going to play any defense, but how much energy and effort do the Knicks have to exude if they're going to stop Lillard and Giannis and like the kinds of teams that they're going to have to beat? I get it. They love Thibs. That's the kind of brand of basketball he wants, but my goodness, they can't keep Anunoby healthy. When's the last time he played? Is Mitchell Robinson coming back? Is he not? When is what's his face coming back? There's a lot of injury concerns with this team, and I'm sorry, I'm not buying the depth or the style of basketball to win a 7-game series and give you an opportunity to win a championship, especially not against Boston. I mean, it's like maybe they can beat an Embiid-less 76ers team. There's always that.
Right. Let's get Milwaukee in a 7-game series. Who do you give the coaching edge to? Milwaukee and the Knicks.
Oh, I think they're both terrible. Doc Rivers is awful, but so is there. I mean, the next big game both of those guys win will be their first. So no. And who's going to have home court? And does home court mean enough to the Knicks? Is the Garden a good enough home court advantage?
I
know Milwaukee is.
I'm old enough to remember when the Knicks home court did mean something. Like, I would love to see it. I really would. I would love to see it.
I agree.
It's going to be great. It's a great environment for the Big East tournament, which we'll have there. And the Knicks being good in a playoff run, still not as good as the Rangers. The Rangers playoff run in MSG is the best. It's the absolute best. And the way the Rangers are playing, Joe, I don't know. It might be a fun spring. It might be a fun spring for New York fans because it wasn't a fun fall or winter.
Because the Mets are going to blow. Yeah, and the Yankees are going to be pot luck.
The Mets season wins under. Got to be under. Looked at the pitching.
Yeah, but that's not
what
fun.
Are we doing?
Yeah,
83 and a half. What are we
doing? That's a total rebuild. Total rebuild. I mean, think about spending all of that money. No, but they didn't care because they thought that you were just going to write a check and buy a championship, please. It's going to be a long season for some teams like the Red Sox, like the Mets. I think it's going to be a long season. Now, the question that I have for people will be: will all of these younger teams or these teams like OKC, for instance, now who are playing above their head, we kind of knew OKC over time was, hey, they were going to give themselves a chance. They trusted the process. They drafted correctly. They got talent. But the same thing with teams like the Baltimore Orioles coming up, the Cincinnati Reds. There's a lot of these teams that we anointed a year ago going, now we're going to watch that. But are we? Or does, teams like OKC and the Baltimore Orioles and all these teams we were gushing over this young talent, Is it really going to matter when it all comes? I just don't know that we're going to be talking about any of those teams when it's all said and done.
The numbers tell you that it's time to really start considering OKC to win the West. I think they got it right there. They're creeping up the board. They're into the single digits. I mean, okay, listen, if we're running the book, I'd like to take the bets on them, move them back to 10-1 and get as much as we can. That's fine. You can fade them. Look what they're doing tonight. Is this surprising to you? I mean, we talked about it before the game. I got them up 88-79, 3 minutes to go in the third. This is a nice win if they can beat the Clippers tonight. This is coming out of the break.
So I'll make a prediction. Okay. I say that when it's all said and done, Golden State will have won more playoff games this year than OKC. Okay? We'll just put that right down because experience is going to matter when it's all said and done. Especially as that pressure starts getting ratcheted up here a little bit. And the Warriors and Lakers, by the way, getting ready to tip off top of the hour. Cam Stewart will step in. We'll see what he thinks of those games. We'll do that coming up next here on The Grid.
Johnny's a 19-point lead late in the opening half, only to squander that lead. Hall ball under Shaheen Holloway coming all the way back.
All these guards start jacking up shots, and then Soriano doesn't get the ball. Hey, Rick, how about stop throwing your kids under the bus and get your big man the ball, your best player, play inside out like you were doing earlier in the game, and you probably would have won.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
InGame Live, PrimeTime, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It felt during the year that there was a little bit of disconnect with Wilkes and Kyle Shanahan. The total points allowed by Steve Wilkes' defense the last 3 years before this, head coach for the Cardinals, they gave up the 26th most points, defensive coordinator for the Browns, 20th most points, and then Carolina, they gave up the 19th most points.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live prime time here on this Thursday. It's the Sports Grid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Dave Sharapan. We welcome in the man taking over at the top of the hour, Cam Stewart in the house here. And Cam, we got a couple of games on the ice still to come. In fact, we were going back and forth with the Kraken and the Canucks and trying to figure out, is the side the way to go? Is it? I think we're both in agreement. We're expecting goals in that one. Are you on that same page where an over might not be a bad look?
Canucks. Great memories. Anyway, yes, Joe. I here's the thing about the Canucks. They haven't lost 4 games in a row this year. Rick Tocchet, none too pleased. Very bad luck against Colorado in their last game, guys. So I expect Vancouver to show up against Seattle. Seattle's been a lot better lately, but I kind of like the Canucks tonight. As for Vegas and Toronto, kind of an interesting line here. Toronto played last night. We got the Austin Matthews. By the way, Dave, give Wetzel some love with the Austin Matthews 2 goals. I know a lot of people played it. The sportsbooks got absolutely fleeced with all the Leafs to win, Austin Matthews goal. Like, we all collected that night. Like, they're like, we'll give you you take the Messi monies for Inter Miami and you give back the Leaf monies. That's the way it works. You can't win them all the popular plays. By the way, guys, baseball day 1, I bet on the Padres. I'm like, I'm not betting against the Dodgers again. Even the preseason, I'm like on with Pharrell. I'm like, oh my God. He goes, Cam, it's 8-0 in the first inning. I'm like, oh, wrong side. Thank God I got fire-neutered in the Europa League soccer and a tie. Like, I was nailing this European soccer, Joe. Okay, back to hockey. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Bad baseball pick. I do like the Canucks. My boy Visine Vince, shout out to Visine Vince, who went to Arizona. In Vegas now this guy's a real Leaf fan. Like these other losers, they're eating sushi and roast beef sandwiches. This guy's going to Arizona. Now he's in Vegas to watch the Leafs in Vegas tonight. I would say it's a great spot for Vegas, guys. Martin Jones, will they play for him tonight? The Leafs will probably try to not open it up against Vegas. That total, I don't think a lot of people are going over, Dave, but I don't know about it. Like for the Leafs to be successful, they can't get into track meet tonight on the back-to-back. So, you know what? I'm going to say this. Vegas is probably the play. I'm not betting it because I'm actually a fan and I don't want to bet against my team like other people here on the network. And in the other game, I'm going to go, you know what? We're on Calgary. That game has started. Calgary's up 1-0. Boston lost a lot of guys in that game versus Edmonton last night. They lost a couple defensemen guys, so they're in big trouble. They're really thin tonight, so that's good to know. And I like the under there. And in the final game, what are we going to do? What do you guys like in this one? Let me see here. Oh, yeah, Kings. I don't want to lay I'll take Kings and Reg, and I'll take the Kings. I don't mind laying the juice. Here's the thing, Joe, and you can, Dave, know. This team has turned a corner. Nashville, great info, Dave. You gave me on the last game. You actually switched my bet, and you saved me a lot of money. I switched off Vegas and went to Nashville when they hung on to beat Vegas in the last game. So let's take a look at Los Angeles. Nashville's kind of lingering in California for a while. I'll take the Kings. They look like they're getting their act together. So a couple favorites tonight on the board. I don't know about the total in that game. Probably under 5.5, but I don't really love it, so we're not going to force the issue. College basketball, guys, I'm going to get your opinion. You talked about it, Joe, in the break. How do you not bet Minnesota? And I'm usually these guys very skeptical. And I do dumb things like I'm like, ooh, I'm going to take the Devils tonight because that line's a trap against the Rangers. Meanwhile, the Rangers are up 4-0. Listen, dumb. Yeah. Sometimes they just put up bad lines. So I listen. Instead, the great Gazoo said bet Minnesota instead of Ohio State. So that was smart. Washington State, one of the hottest teams in college hoops, guys. They've won 7 in a row. Arizona's won 6. Washington, by my recollection, beat them 73-70 in Pullman. I got to take the excessive points. Arizona might blow them out of the water, guys, but I'm a Wazoo guy. You know, nice battle tonight. Battle of the felines. Ooh. Cougars versus Wildcats. Claws out. Damn. Who knows what's going to happen tonight, but I'll take the point.
I said it to Joe earlier. Ooh. I think we, as guys like that, just, one, love the sports, but two, I've become a Pac-12 guy by living out in Vegas for 21 years. You're a Pac-12 guy. You got to, like, really let it breathe. I went like this before when I looked at the board and went, let's take it all in because it's the end of the Pac-12. We got Washington and Arizona State. We got Oregon and Stanford. Like, there's games tonight that I'm trying to, like, Thursday nights is the Pac-12 night. We only got 3 more of these until they have the Pac-12 tournament for the last time here.
I'm going to be honest with you, Dave. I don't know why I live here. Like, I'm basically a West Coast guy living on the East. Like, you know what I mean? And I do love my hockey, but I love the Mountain West and Pac-12. I always had. As a child, I loved it. My grandfather was a Washington Husky. I told you my cousin played football at Wazoo. You know, Joe's a Big 12 guy. I don't know what it is. Like, the way they butchered the Big East and the conferences around here with all the teams changing and stuff, it really pissed me off. Like, so, and now I'm even angrier. Washington State has had a phenomenal year in football and in basketball. They're one of the best stories this year in basketball. Who the hell had Washington State atop the Pac-12 battling? Like, people talk about Oregon and you talk about all the other teams. Like, who the hell had the Washington State Cougars? The last time they were good when Tony Bennett from Virginia, when he went to Washington State to Pullman, and they kind of turned the program around, guys. Like, this is an amazing story that is under the radar. And, you know, Arizona might blow them out of the water, but I'll tell you one thing about Wazoo. They cover numbers. They play defense. I got to take the points, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong on that one. It's been a pretty good night in college hoops so far.
It's a big number, Cam. I mean, that's a really, it's kind of a little obnoxious here for a team that's already beat them once, too, by the way, and playing some of their best basketball, which I think is going to be interesting here. Did you have a feeling in the association? You know, no LeBron tonight. I kind of feels like it's got disaster written all over it for the Lakers in this one.
I agree, Joe. I wish LeBron was playing, so we get Golden State at a better number, but I lean Golden State. This other game, I don't know what to do with it. If Victor plays a lot, maybe San Antonio can cover. I was hoping you guys had a vibe on it. I don't like laying 10.5. The Sacramento, Tommy, our producer at night, Jack will tell you, like, this team's a train wreck. They can blow a lead. They can have a 30-point. Next thing you know, it's like Sacramento Kings games. It's kind of like an antacid. I got enough problems. I'm already taking Prilotech OCT and Zantac. I don't need another one on the shelf in my bathroom. Like, I got enough problems. I don't need Sacramento in my life. I like to gamble on everything. Like, I got first-round leaders in golf. Thank you, Eric Von Ruin, for getting it done today. My Thomas Dietrich pick sucked. You know what the best is, Dave? I had the last-place golfer and the first-place golfer. So that's kind of the way I am in life. Yeah, I got like a guy in last, and I got a guy leading after the first round. Joe knows it's just like golf is crazy sport to bet. Yeah, no, it's good. The first round leader bet pay well
with being extreme. You got both ends of the spectrum. Okay, as long as you got the front end, I'd happily take getting the front end right and taking the back end. That's a good win.
You're right.
So
you're right, Dave.
Look at the Lakers and the Warriors. And like Taylor came on, she was talking about Steph Curry props. We nailed that Austin Matthews one yesterday. That was great. First game back in the NBA after a week off, Cam. I tried to tell people earlier, this is one of those nights I think you got to be a little bit cautious and maybe wait pregame and play stuff in-game. Agree or disagree, because there's been people sitting chomping at the bit to come and fire on a dozen NBA games because it's been off. And I'm like, let's wait and see. But maybe pick the stars and go with the props over, stuff like that.
Well, the thing was, we talked about, I'll give Paul Bovey credit, and basically he came on the show and he's like, I like Orlando. And I'm like, I do too. I love underdogs. That game tonight, it opened up at 6.5 and went up to 8.5 with the steam. Orlando beat Cleveland outright. And then I thought, and I go, this is the reason I bet it, Dave. I like to take teams just like the NFL. What happened? When you're hot, Jacksonville went into the bye week, the hottest team in the league. They came out and San Francisco beat the living crap out of them. It's like Cleveland was the hottest team in the NBA. Having an all-star break's horrible for a team on fire. You know, we played sports before. When you're winning, you're winning. You want to go to the rink. When you're losing, oh, please bring the break. Like, we need to regroup at the Red Lobster here. We need to think. Like, look at the Knicks. They lost 4 before they came in there, too. So that's kind of my angle attacking it. Teams that were doing poorly going in, I'll jump on them. Teams that were doing well, we fade them. And it worked. It's the same in every sport, just like the NFL. Like, we saw what happened with all the hot teams. Remember Tampa Bay? They came out, they were horrible. All of a sudden, hey, we're doing this. We're on fire. Like, it's just a really weird thing. Humans are humans, and it's just like it's not really a statistical angle. It's a human angle, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm looking at those teams, and so far, all the teams that were hot coming out haven't been as good. I'm taking those teams and I'm taking those dogs. So that's what we're doing. By the way, in golf, I'll give you a live one. I had them in my 6-pack, guys, but I really watched up close, and this guy missed a couple putts today. He's in my six-pack. Jake Afternoon Nap at 30-1. I'm telling you, Joe, watch out for this guy. He murders it. Like, I was watching his drives and stuff, and his putter was a little bit cold. On this course, you're going to need crazy length. I'm looking at the leaderboard. All these guys were pumping balls today, not small ball hitters. The wind goes from left to right, back and forth. It's a real weird track. Even though they went low, anything can happen. You're going to need these guys that can play in the wind. I have them at 40. I would advise people, if you can get Afternoon Nap at 30-1 or more, I'd take a shot. And then you won't have to take a dirt nap. You can spend the money and take your wife out for dinner.
Love that.
I
do love naps. Yeah, I love naps, not the dirt nap.
So do I, Dave. As I'm getting older, afternoon naps are like you just crave
huge.
It. Can I get 45 minutes? Can I get an hour 20? But if you go, the thing is, it's like an over/under. The minute you go past like an hour 18, then you're done. Like you need to have the perfect window of refreshment, or else you're done.
64 and a half minutes. Yeah, 64 and a half minutes under. Minus 125. Just keep it that number and you're good.
Great.
Look
line,
at OKC
Dave.
tonight. Yeah. They're blowing out the Clippers.
Yep.
What do we take away from this game, Cam? I told Joe before the game started I like the Thunder. He was on the Clippers. We went back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm impressed with OKC. I really, really am. This is one of those teams that I think is priced wrong in the market. Nobody believes it. I think SGA could win the MVP.
I love SGA.
If Jokic gets hurt, it's his award. Are they good?
You know what it is,
Are they
Dave?
somebody you want to look bet on?
It's interesting, but I respect Joe's opinion because we're waiting. Like Cleveland, great in the regular season. What are they going to do in the playoffs? Gag. Minnesota. Ooh, I've been waiting for those Timberwolves. Ooh. Next thing you know, they gone. It's not like we get that team, like a wild card team that goes the NBA, rinse and repeat with the same stuff all the time, right? So you're like, what team can jump up? I kind of agree with you. I think it would be the Oklahoma City because Chet Holmgren, like they got a lot of nice moving parts on that team. They got scoring, they got big men, they're well coached. But it's hard for those young teams to get over the hump, right, guys? It's just one of those things. The NBA in hockey, it's easier. The way they have the playoffs set up, you could be like a 7-8 seed and you can go on a heater. Like that's the way hockey's set up. Like an underdog can win. NBA, it's pretty tough.
Who goes further, Suns or Thunder in the playoffs?
Thunder. What do you think, Joe? You think Suns, right? I think the Suns, there's too many ball hogs on that team. They'll kill each other. They'll eat each other up.
If Beal is healthy, Phoenix. If he's not, and it's just two of them, it's not enough depth to be able to make it through the playoffs. But if they can continue to give me Beal, Booker, and Durant consistently, then you're pretty dangerous. But OKC is nothing more than what Memphis has been over the last couple of years.
Great call.
Really nice team, young team, and then all of a sudden they self-implode at some point. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. Cam, always a pleasure, my man. Enjoy those plays tonight. We'll close it out next on the grid.
Johnny's a 19-point lead late in the opening half, only to squander that lead. Hall ball under Shaheen Holloway coming all the way back.
All these guards start jacking up shots, and then Soriano doesn't get the ball. Hey, Rick, how about stop throwing your kids under the bus and get your big man the ball, your best player, play inside out like you were doing earlier in the game, and you probably would have won.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
InGame Live, Prime Time, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It felt during the year that there was a little bit of disconnect with Wilks and Kyle Shanahan. The total points allowed by Steve Wilks' defense the last 3 years before this, head coach for the Cardinals, they gave up the 26th most points. Defensive coordinator for the Browns, 20th most points. And then Carolina, they gave up the 19th most points.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in as we close out this edition of InGame Live Primetime on the SportsGrid Network. Cam Stewart, Gabe Morency coming up here in just a few minutes. And on our way out the door, probably get another bet or two here when it's all said and done. Couple of hockey games there, Dave. Couple of NHL games. Couple of late-night basketball, college-wise. What are you looking at here tonight?
I'm looking at trying to go down to that game and watch the Leafs in person and see this Austin Matthews. He's going to score a goal again.
Mm-hmm.
I'll bet Austin Matthews to score at least one. As far as that game, I still think it's going over. So Cam made a good case for the under. I like that game over. Vancouver, yes, over Seattle. And Nashville and the Kings, man, I like the Kings too. But I think that game's – I think the nuts is the under. I like that game best. Under. Got any basketball? You want to partake in any hockey? What are you looking at?
Well, I got to get ready for Washington State, Arizona, and of course Oregon and Stanford getting ready to do battle. Feels a little bit light there in that Stanford game. I mean, Oregon should win that game there, but you know what is up is down sometimes here with these guys. But I am pretty confident with Golden State to be able to handle business at home here tonight against a LeBron-less Lakers team here at some points. Yeah, they're just not good without him. So they're going to need him, and they're not going to have him here tonight. So I think the Lakers are going to be in trouble at a pretty small number there. And we got to get Canucks goals here, right? Maybe team total over? What do you think? A little over? Maybe get over 3.5 goals? What do you think here?
Nukes over, team total over. Yeah.
Gotta
be.
I mean,
I like the game over. So, yeah. Canucks in regulation plus money. What about the Gophers? What about the Gophers? Laying it on Ohio State.
Right?
Who made that number?
22-3 now against the number. Unbelievable. Enjoy the rest of your night. We'll see you again tomorrow here.